Alex Plays Chess, where Alex plays chess. Alright, so this is a game we were looking at the other day. It's between Barden Littlewood, Hastings, 1960, round 1. Pretty sure it's round 1, unless this database is incorrect. I'm going to go through all 9 rounds, eventually. I'm going to work my way there, however long that takes. And along the way, if anybody comes online or wants to be on the show, wants to play a game or wants to analyze games that they played against me or anyone else, they're welcome to join me. Welcome to take a break. No reason, these games aren't going anywhere. They've already been played about 77 years ago. So that's actually 1960 seems like a long time ago now. I remember when it makes me sound a little bit old. I'm still pretty young. I'm 29 right now. So, but when I was in elementary school around 1996 or so, or even in 2000, 1960 was 40 years ago. So when I was 12 years old, 1960 was 40 years ago. Now it's, oh wait, how does that work? Yeah, 40 plus 7, okay, so it's 57 years ago. Sorry, not 70 years ago. 57 years ago. 70 years ago would have been the 40s. Okay, so it's not as long as I initially thought. So it is 57 years ago. It's still a pretty long time ago. It's longer than it was 17 years ago. Some people were born in 1990. I was already 12 years old. Wow, I am old. Says the young man. Yeah, no matter how old you get, you're always going to be younger to somebody. Anyway, this is where we left off. It seems to be this kind of Queen's Pawn opening. Standard development here. I guess this is called the Noni. Good to know. The advanced variation looks like. Obviously, when you have the pawn moving that way, it's an advance. Now, obviously, if knight took here, pawn would take. Not something black would want. If you didn't see that, some people are still trying to visualize the board, and even the simplest of tactics are good to review. So even if you're an advanced player, I really hope you are in this channel and helping me out here, but right now it's I gotta help myself and whoever comes out here, either equal or less or greater rating and strength. More important than rating, I think, is strength, but rating is usually a good indicator of strength. So obviously black does not want to take with the knight here, because then if you disregard, it's nice that game engines and all that give what's off the board, and obviously when you play over the board you can see what pieces, but it's also good to look at what's on the board rather than what's off the board. So right here what you see is that, okay, black is missing a knight. That's definitely no good, considering that white still has both their knights, both their bishops, both their rooks, and the queen, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and only missing one pawn. Black does have all their pawns, but they're missing a knight. So that is a trade-off. It's definitely not too good for black. I would not want to play black for a pawn for a knight. But in certain situations that might be useful. So definitely not that move. The move that was played was b5. it's putting pressure on that pawn there. Yeah, let me change the and maybe change the color. Nope. Yeah, I like green. Well, what about purple? Green's good. Okay. So, black's putting pressure on this pawn. Now, oops. Aw, man. I just closed the whole thing. When you look at that, this is why you need to slow down and not type so fast. Let me start the timer for the stream. Actually, let me just restart the stream. No, it's fine. Good old Terran. Tearing it up. Okay. Now I gotta reload that whole thing. Now you get to see the process of what it takes to get this ready. And I'm looking at black's point of view because we usually look from white point of view, and it's, you know, in chess you play both white and black. So, I mean, it's nice to have a standard where we look at from white's point of view on the bottom. You know, you can look at it a couple of ways. You can see it as, in this point of view, white's on top, and they're coming down. And the other point of view, black's on top, and they're coming down. So, this point of view, I see you're looking at it as if you're playing black. And I think it's definitely something that more analyzers, game analyzers, need to change it up. Yeah, and I'm talking, you know, not just, you know, amateurs like me, but at the top level. What's going on here? Technical difficulties ruin the day. Oh, that's what's going on. Yep. Oh my god. Oh, I'm in still resize mode, that's why. There we go. And, oh, I need to load the base. All your police are belong to us. At least nobody's here, although in the replay it's going to be kind of lame. 2 minutes of me trying to set this up. Alright. And the tournament's window's got to load. Drink my coffee. Okay, there we go. Hastings. Okay, we go to 1960. Close that window. And load the games. Sort by round. And not press Windows Shift Q. I will close it. Maybe I can set it to warm before closing. I don't want to mess with that right now. Alright. Load the game. Alright, here we go. Yeah, so that is what was played. Let's say white ignored that move. Let's say white decided to defend that pawn. Well, now black can take here. I mean, obviously, black could also push this pawn. And lock, now, preparing for this pawn can go here. Oh, now I gotta do this again. But, here we go. I also need to... Oh, yeah, there we go. That would pretty much lock up this pawn structure here this way. But if instead black took here, well, I mean, if white ignores it, there's some messy stuff going on here. It's a little messy. I don't know if I'd want to play with this as black. So, but what is there? Is there something where I can move here, pinning this knight, and then all black has to do is put the knight there. So I guess after that, one of the moves that white could do is go here. But it's not. It's another alternative. Defend this. I mean, if he defends that knight, I mean that pawn. With that pawn, then it's still the same move. If he defends this pawn, then it's just takes this pawn right here, still attacking this, which is pinned. So white would have to move here. But then knight takes, attacking the queen. And if he trades off, check. And white is definitely not happy here. Yeah, sure, doubled pawns, but almost right there, Doubling pawns is not always bad. It's generally not a good idea because then look at that. Those squares are all defended, so the pawns are still acting, they're just not, they can't defend each other, is the only problem. It can cause problems, but it might not always be as bad as you think. Don't discount a move just because of some rule. Then again, don't disregard the rules just because you think that it's, look through the positions and decide for yourself using your experience and your knowledge in order to come up with the best move. That's really the ultimate goal of chess, is to see how strong you can get. And a stronger player is going to have more experience and more knowledge. And there's nothing you can do about it without doing it. The thing is if you don't play games and analyze those games, you're going to be playing the same way. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you study. Without applying that knowledge, you're going to be a little better, possibly. But the best players in the game, the GMs, the Magnus Carlsens, the Gary Kasparovs, the Botviniks, and Talls, and all those, Bobby Fishers, they played lots of games, and during those games, they improved. So you can improve during your game. All you have to do is look at the board. It gives you all the information you need. There's certain information that takes too long in a game. And, such as opening theory. Like these first couple moves, this first group of moves, I'd say, let's see, about up to here, white to move. That's a lot of theory and stuff that would take, it's literally taken 1,000 years to get to the point. At this point, 1960, it took at least 1,000 years to get to this point in opening theory. So obviously you're not going to be able to spend 1,000 years to study to study, the game. You're only going to have, 2 hours on your clock? So, but I mean, there's a lot you can do during your game. If you already know this opening, and you know, the certain rules about the openings, let me get the board editor out. If I open up the board editor. Sounds like SpongeBob. Anyway, if we clear the board, alright, clear the board. Now, all we have right now to develop, first of all, we start out with kings. They're both on the same line. That's one thing in order for visualizing the board. Understand that the king side is always going to be over here. I mean, if you're looking from white's point of view, it's going to be on your right. If you're looking on but it's always going to be this side of the board. Oops. This is the king side. Oops. And this is the queen's side. You get the queen. Sometimes you got to break down the board in order to learn how to visualize. So you have the queens all over here. And the kings all over there. This is kind of a helpful tool. Makes it really easy. I mean, obviously this is an illegal position. You can't have more than one king. And you definitely can't have kings checking. Oops. Definitely cannot have kings checking themselves. This is just for visualizing. So you see you have the king side, the queen side, black camp, white camp. If you split the board down in half, but then you can split it down in fours. I mean, I guess you could get really technical and break it down to knight side or bishop side. I'm not going to go there right now. That's a little bit too deep. Basically, in the beginning of the game, you want to get your pawns out to the center. You want to defend those pawns. And you want to get your bishops out of the way of the king and king the castle. So you got 2 rooks here. Remember that you always have the rooks on both sides here. They're not connected. Right now, they're with the king in the way. They're not connected. What you want to do in the opening is you want to move that. Oops. You want to get the king side is always going to be faster to oops. I meant over here. Because the bishop and the knight are in the way on the king side. On the queen side, the bishop, the knight, and the queen are all on the way. So, what you need to do is you want to decide first, depending on what your opponent's doing, whether you're going to castle king side or whether you're going to castle queen side. So, as soon as you castle, it allows you to connect your rook. So, you're going to get this bishop possibly over here to prevent some kind of, especially if white moves their bishop here. Gets the knight out of a pin. Because if this is here, if white has a bishop here, it's staring. Oh, I don't think I can do arrows on. Oh, I can switch. Oops. Yeah, I can't do arrows, I don't think. So, I mean, that bishop is now looking at the queen. The knight's in the way, yes. But if black moves this knight, let's say attacks the bishop, in some kind of attempt to attack the knight, you just gotta remember that whenever you make a move, your opponent has the ability to make a move before you can make another. If you could move twice, then obviously you'd want to move here, and then you would take. But that's not the case. The case is that when you move, your opponent can move. So if let's just say you're thinking, okay, I need to attack this bishop. I'm going to move this knight here. It's going to attack that bishop. Well, guess what? Bishop can now take that queen. And yeah, black can take that knight, that bishop. But that's a bishop in exchange for a queen. This is one of the things that basic chess analysis entails. Is we need to think about, if I make a move, what can my opponent do? And if I allow them to achieve something, will it be beneficial for them, or will it be beneficial for me? It's not. I see a lot of newer players, I've noticed, once they learn the moves of the game, and sometimes a lot of people learn the moves of the game, but they don't fully learn the moves of the game. And that's a mistake in my book. If you don't understand all the legal moves that you can make, like how to move a pawn, how to en passant, how to castle, how the knight moves, how to checkmate, what a checkmate is, at least. How to checkmate is a matter of strategy. But what a checkmate is. Like, it means that your king has no legal squares to go to on their turn. And what a stalemate means that you're not in check, which means check means that your king is under attack, but you have no legal moves to go to, which means that it's a draw. Both players neither win or lose, which actually both players get half a point if it's a tournament setting. So another thing is, like, you can't put your king through check. You can't castle check. You can't that's why you can't have two kings next to each other. Like, this is never a legal move. You can never have the king and the king next to each other. Because, it's not because, you see, the changing and thinking happens when you think, not that you can't have kings next to each other, but that you can't put your king into check. And if you moved your king next to your king, you would be disobeying that law. Which, really, there is a list of, FIDE, rules of chess. This is legality. This is like a law book. Here. I really like FIDE's Laws of Chess. This is the official FIDE handbook, Laws of Chess. And it's written like a law book. So, it's really, I think it's like a one-page read. If you really want to get better at chess, read this handbook. At least as far as the laws of, this talks about, the actual, like, tournament stuff. But the basic rules of play. The game of chess played between two opponents who move their pieces on a square board called chessboard. Having this clarity of thought allows you, it seems like a lot at first. It seems like a lot. I'm not gonna lie. It seems like a lot. But you spend some time to actually, a lot of people, I think, I'm not gonna get too deep in, like, in philosophical or political, especially on this channel where I try to avoid political issues, or social issues or whatever. But one of the biggest issues, and, I take care of this in my writing, because I'm a writer and I also play chess, and as a writer, I like to try to, obviously the story comes first, but the thing is that when we write, we even when we're trying to commercialize something to the extreme, the most commercial endeavors on the planet still have core beliefs and philosophical notions because they're made by human beings, and human beings inevitably have core beliefs. And so even if it's extreme that's why I really don't like it when people just completely trash things just because they're quote unquote sellouts or whatever. What's my point? My point is that when you take the time to really understand, the reason why one of the issues I have is a lot of people don't like reading long books or, even watching long videos or, whatever. And the issue is because people say, I don't have time to watch it. The thing is, if you're serious about something, I mean, obviously, if it's just something you don't really care about, then yeah, that's fine. Like, if you're just watching random videos on YouTube, you don't really want to watch some comedy video for an hour about a guy slamming his face into a wall or something. But if you're serious about learning something like chess or writing or music or any craft, like, you need to take the time. Because, I mean, even let's just say reading a book. Let's say you have a 1,000-page book. I'm reading Wheel of Time. Each book, it's a 14-book series. Each book is 1,000 pages. And this isn't a spoiler, but the writer actually died before he finished the series. And a lot of people are worried about George R. R. Martin, the author of Song of Ice and Fire, and a lot of and most of the screenplays for Game of Thrones on HBO. People are worried he's going to die before he finishes the series. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's close. But anyway, Robert Jordan died before he finished it, and Brandon Sanderson finished the last book, which he ended up changing from the last book to the last 3 books and made it a trilogy, which I'm kind of excited about that. I'm on book 5 right now. It's still in the Robert Jordan story. But my point is those books are 1,000 pages long, and a lot of people, especially younger people, see a 1,000-page book and they just automatically say, oh, I'm not going to read that, it's too much. But the thing is, when you sit down to read, you're only going to be reading for a set amount of time anyway. Like, let's say you read 20 minutes a night before you go to bed. So, whether it's 1,000 pages or 10 pages, what does that even matter? So, I mean, you could always continue it later. So the thing is, if you are really serious about chess, and you want to get better at chess, learn this handbook. I've read it before. It's probably been updated, so I could probably use a read again. But, it tells you about, I mean, it talks about the specific legalities of FIDE tournaments. But, I mean, the thing is, you really want to learn the official FIDE rules, because that's where chess is played. This is how chess is played in any official tournament around the world. I mean, obviously, if you're playing a variant of chess, there's going to be different rules. And obviously, if you're not playing in a tournament, there's going to be different rules. But if your plan is to play tournaments, and even if you don't want to play tournaments, you just want to play casually, knowing the basic rules of chess, like this is what a king looks like. I mean, a lot of people get the king and queen confused. So if you understand that the king always has, just 1 point, the queen always has 5, and also that the queen is going to have, the king is always going to be on this side and the queen's always going to be on this side. Just flipped around, obviously it's going to be, but I mean the king and the king are, on both sides are both on the same file. These are called files. That's another reason is clarity of thinking. Is when you switch your thinking from random thoughts to getting a vocabulary. Like you can say things like, oh, well, I'm going to move this pawn here. Or you can say pawn to king 4. Or you could say e4. Either way, some of those are more concise than others, or d4. Some of those are more concise than others. Pawn to queen 4. That means that there's 2 different notations in chess. There's classical notation, which is based on whose turn it is. So if it's white to move, this would be pawn to queen 4 because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you use another notation called algebraic notation, and a lot of people get turned away from that because people give up on things before they even start. What's going on? Oh. uh, but why? Just spend some time on it. Things aren't so scary once you spend time on them. But anyway, my point being is basically, once you understand the vocabulary of chess, or anything, but chess, once you get the vocabulary of chess, you can start analyzing deeper. And it's a lot of people who are starting out in any kind of, chess or writing, they get these conceptions about, if I learn these things, it's going to limit me. I don't know why people think this, because if anything, it opens you up to more possibilities. Because now you don't have to pay attention to the vocabulary. You don't have to think, oh, how do I explain how this bishop is here, why I need to put the bishop here, I can't move that, because this, if I don't want to lose a queen, this bishop is here, that means I can't move it. It adds all these layers of unnecessary explanation, when all you have to do is say, oh, this knight is pinned. All right, if you study what the vocabulary means, and you understand what pinned means, then you don't have to think about it anymore. You can think about, okay, this knight is pinned, so how do I deal with it? Now you can actually analyze. You can actually go in and think about, okay, how do I get out of that situation? And you're like, oh, if I put the bishop to king 2, now the bishop is, now I can move that knight. Because now if I move that knight, not only am I attacking the bishop with the knight, but this bishop is also attacking the knight. And if white takes the bishop, then black can take the bishop with the queen. And now there's a whole field available to you for analysis. You're no longer limited to thinking only one move deep. You can think maybe 2 or 3 moves deep, because now you're spending less time on vocabulary and more time on actual strategy. So, but yeah, basically in the opening, okay, I'm going to show you this. These pawns are here. But if you take away those pawns, or take away the pawns that, let's just say these are defensive pawns. These are really the only pawns that matter in the opening. That's not true, but for understanding the theory of the opening. Because if you think about this, the center is a strong, let's say you have 4 queens. Now, and let's use these pawns as, let's just say white has a bunch of pawns. So this queen is attacking these 3 pawns, these 3 pawns, these 3 pawns, these 3 pawns, and these 3 pawns. So that's 3 times 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 15 pawns. Now let's say this queen, okay, let's even move these queens out of the way and show it even further. 4 pawns, 4 pawns, and 4 pawns. So it's talking 3 times 5, 15, plus 12, plus 4 times 3, 12. 12 and 15. 15 and 15 is 30, minus 3 is 27. 27 pawns. Now let's say this queen was, instead of here, queen was here. Alright, so all these, okay, now it adds some, these pawns. But now it takes away all these other pawns. So now it's attacking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, because you know it's an 8 by 8 board, that if there's one square, then there's going to be 7. 7, 10, 18, and 21. That's 21 squares. And yeah, you could argue that because in a real game situation, this queen's a little bit safer because you would have these pawns here. So it would be harder for the opponent to attack this queen. Still, if you control the center, I don't think, I mean, I could show other ways too. This knight, for example. This knight is here. It's attacking these pawns, these pawns, these pawns, and these pawns. In a full circle. 2, 4, 6, 8. You can go to any of those squares. Likewise, if you have the knight, let's say, right here. Well, now, you can only go there. That's 2. Now, if the knight was here, it's more, this is actually in the center. It's still better than the corner. So now I can go here, and that doubles the movement moves. But it's still not as good. And also, if you tilt your head to the left, you can almost picture that this side is the same, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. As if the knight were here. So really, there's 4 sides to the board. You could pretend that any of those sides is the first left, which is a good way to think when it comes to trying to checkmate your opponent. If you can get your opponent's king to the side of the board, especially the corner of the board, but I mean the side of the board on any of these sides is going to be close to a checkmate, especially if they're in the corner. Corners are always going to have a lot less moves than the center. Because, I mean, you look at the king here. You can move anywhere here. Any option. So, it makes sense that if you let your opponent control the center, you're going to be having a hard time controlling their attack. I mean, defending against their attack. So, you have these pawns here. Then, if your opponent moves a pawn here without defending it, then it can be attacked. So, that's why, the thing is we have the option, and let me go to an analysis board. Oops. So here we have the usual turn events in a standard opening. Since obviously White's gonna want to completely just put pawn here, put pawn here. Oh, let's see. Put pawn here, knight here, and let's just say for argument's sake, bishop here and bishop here. I mean, obviously that's not going to be as good. I mean, let's just say bishop here and bishop here. Or possibly bishop here. There's lots of options. I'm just going to say right here because it's safer. And then obviously the castle, let's say castle's, white castle's king side. And now rooks, let's say rooks are here, rook's here, and the queen's here. So obviously you don't want your opponent getting that, because if you allow your opponent to get that with, I mean, let's just say every single turn you just like moved your knight in there and then moved it back. So if every single turn, black just moved their knight here and then moved it back, and then obviously the rest of the pawns. Oops. So if white was allowed this position, I would definitely rather play white than black. Because, yeah, you could say that black has a defensive position and is more defended, but in reality, if you were allowed this position, white would be able to just destroy you. Because look, white has this file here with the queen and the rook. You would have to spend time as black, trying to develop your pieces similar to how white has. If as a fun exercise, here, let's actually continue from here. I've never done that. Oops. Let's continue from this position, playing against the computer. Which is higher? Not sure if higher is stronger or not. Oops. Just do this. I mean, you can see that's 10 moves that white took to achieve this. So obviously in a real game, and let's say white to move here, and that's 10 moves that every single time you make a move, your opponent has the option of making a move. So this is definitely a fancy position. Continue from here. Okay, it's not letting me. It's not letting me. I'm trying to play as black. Here we go again. Oh, here we go. Black to play. There we go. Oh. Okay, here we go. white already castled. And first of all, it's okay, I chose black. Yes, okay, here we go. Black to move. So, I mean, if black puts pawn here, let's just open up analysis board too. Oops. Oh, man. Wow. Really just wanted to open it up in a new tab. Here we go. Alright. Let's open an analysis board in a new tab just because. So, I mean, black. Okay, look. Oh, hey, how's it going? Hey. Oops, caps. Yeah, and basically, I was going over Hastings 1960 from this position here. After what I was doing was I was explaining the strategy of the opening, and basically like why allowing your opponent, like if black just moved back and forth over and over, why this position will dominate against black's position. And also, I was explaining earlier also about understanding the rules of chess, like how actually like the legal moves, how to en passant, how to castle, and basically why it's important to understand vocabulary. I'm definitely going to save that as a highlight because I don't want to explain that again. And plus, there's nobody here watching, so I'm going to use that as a highlight because yeah. But I mean, basically, if black moves here, then you just lose a pawn, and yeah, you could try to attack it, but it's defended by this knight. So it's like, what are you going to do? I mean, if you go here, if you play defensively, black could just start to just like, let's just say they go. I mean, even here, attacking this queen. So let's just see what Stockfish would do. He attacks it. Stake here, takes there. Or with here, the queen. Send knight here. Just really encroaching. Okay, oh, this is even worse. Now he's gonna trade queens. Let's see how quickly. Oh, it's checkmate right there. So yeah, you don't want to do that. Let's say I went here. Oh, it's already over. Anyway, yeah, 15 minutes sounds good. You want to join the Discord, or you want to wait till after for the analysis? How about we play a 15-minute game and then we do the analysis? Or do you want to? Yeah, I kind of, if it's a quick game, I would kind of like that, because then, I mean, obviously, I don't know. You can do whatever you want. You can join the Discord, or not. Wait till you just challenge me to a game, and I mean, you can just do random side. See, alright, so I played black this game. I'm getting sidetracked here. I was trying to think of how to, I know there's a command that lets you update the file as you show the last whatever lines. So it'll always show the newest, but whatever. Alright, so I like this versus that opening. I don't like doing Queen's Gambit. It's Queen's Gambit to me, Queen's Gambit Decline is similar to, as far as opening theory for me, it's too much. It's like, the Sicilian, which as white playing 1e4, I kind of take a gamble every time, which means I have to understand the basics of Sicilian, try to transpose into a more standard, standard opening. Okay, so he goes bishop here. He's stacking this pawn. But it's defended by the queen, so I have time. I mean, if I put this knight here, pushes the knight, and pushes the pawn, knight takes, and it's both attacking this bishop and protecting that square. Oops. So, I mean, if I push pawn here, I'm gonna put the knight here, then you might want to do something like, yeah, I might, I don't know, let's go. The Black Evil Castle, that's what I'm... C3. Yeah, playing C3. I don't really like, I guess, what's that called? The, Alpine. That also is a little bit too much theory for me. The one I like is playing, against, after 1c5, playing, 2, knight f3. Cause that feels like, it's basically like I'm pretending like I'm continuing as if they played e5. I mean, it's obviously not the same. Oh yeah, queen takes. Forgot about that. Man, why do I always forget that? Ah. Yeah, that's the reason why you don't play that knight. Well, what can I do? I can go in there, pushes it out of the way. Oh, and then I can take pawn. But I don't know. Just do it. He's probably not going to do that because of that. So you can probably bring the knight here. I mean, if he does that, knight takes. Phoenix right? I have no idea. It's Rainwave game music. Rainwave game radio. Oops. Oh man. I gotta reload it now. Yeah, it defends that pawn there. But my knight, my knight moved twice. Move this pawn here. Queen takes queen. And I lose my ability to castle. White's getting the pawn really up here. Also attacking this square. Moves this pawn here. He's got a pawn center like that. And eventually, I'll get my bishop here. But if I put my bishop, if I put pawn here, queen something, or even just put the pawn here. Yeah, white's gonna get to develop a lot. Basically, why you don't put knight here when the pawn can advance and attack it? Oh man, that's what happens. Oh, okay. Pretty sure this is not the right move right here. Because after he pushes here, I don't know, would it have been better just to, at this point, just to go back here? I think this would have been better. Even though it's moving the knight right back where he started, I think because what happened in the game was, he eventually chased that knight back here anyway. So yeah, I think, prevent that push. I mean, even going here, yeah, it was going, I mean, it was tough for black, but as soon as I put the bishop there, I was running on time trouble, and I thought that would have been a good spot for the bishop, but I forgot that the knight was right here. Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to play more games. Hopefully I make smarter choices in the opening. It's just like it's like a snowball effect. As soon as you make a move that allows your opponent to gain even a small advantage. I mean, this is a pretty big advantage though. Forcing the opponent to move their knight and gain space with the pawns. That's pretty big. And white gets to develop. I mean, I don't know about this move instead of the knight. I don't know. I don't know. Is that usually people go right here? I don't know. I don't understand this move yet because I always see this as part of the opening of the Indian game, the Nimzo. But I don't understand why here. I mean, I know it guards those squares, but the knight still can't go here. I don't really understand. Like, why not just go here? Because then you can put the knight there without worrying about it progressing or advancing. I guess attacking in here. I guess it just puts it under some attack, but I mean it's defended by the knight. Maybe those e6. Oh, and then which one's d6? Oh. Yeah. E6. Oh yeah, because then pawn there. But why d6? What does d6 do? Yeah, not many people played this. This is probably White probably made a mistake in these games. Yeah, if E6. Hey, can't go here. Here. Okay, D5 is in the. But, hmm. Yeah, definitely need to do something before I bring out that other knight in any kind of position with the D pawn. Because if White did something else, you'd still do that. And that's really tough right there. A nice way over here, and eventually he's going to get attacked again. And then has to go back home. Yeah, I was doing halfway okay, but still trying to pick up that tempo disadvantage until I gave up my bishop there. I mean, even moving the bishop here might have been better. Oh, keep up your studies. I'm gonna log off too. Gotta get some math homework done. Get some writing done. And take a break. Because it's always not too good to spend too much time on one thing. Well, that's been Alex Plays Chess. That explanation of understanding the basic rules will be put up as a highlight as soon as I get to it, within the next 14 days. And join me next time on Alex Plays Chess.